Welcome to the 12th episode of Lichtblock Professionals. You heard already, it's our second episode in English. First one was Elliot Overton. This one is Ryan Carter. Ryan Carter, aka Live Vital, you might know him from social media. He's a health educator, nutritionist, and personal trainer. And it's a really special episode because we talk deep about philosophy of health, about the mitochondriac perspective, light, water, magnetism. I got to know him through the whole Jack Kruse community, and he's an amazing person, and he has also a really special lifestyle. You will really like this episode. So have a look at our website, Lichtblock, lichtblock.shop. We have really special blue blocking glasses. You see it here already, the 500 ones and the 550. And enjoy. Ryan Carter. And Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So maybe I introduce that topic a little bit for the listeners. You also come from the Jack Kruse background, light, water, magnetism. And would you say that, or like, what is your background? Like, where do you come from? Who are you actually?
Yeah. Who am I? So I'm Ryan Carter. I'm born and raised in the UK, but at the moment I'm living sort of nomadic lifestyle. So I'm in the middle of nowhere in the UK countryside in a place called Norfolk. But recently I was in Croatia, I was in Abu Dhabi, I was in Mexico, back in Abu Dhabi. Just basically I'm moving around like a gypsy. So I'm a registered nutritional therapist. So very similar to Elliot Overton's background, who actually comes from the same background, essentially. And we have similar interpretations of Jack Kruse, nutritional therapy, functional medicine, all that jargon, etc., etc. So again, what do? I deal in medicine. I deal in energy, basically. So when I'm talking about that, it's basically all about health optimization, reversal or prevention of all modern diseases, basically. Empowering clients to achieve their full potential and their goals. And again, it's not about me, it's about them. It's personalized, and I do it remotely and I do it in person as well. So clients from around the world, different needs, different specifics, different backgrounds, whether it's from a tennis player in the top 10, a royal family in the Middle East, or I don't know, your auntie down the road, basically. I work with them all. Yeah. So that's what I do.
It's like because you also have a really, really strong Instagram following, I think 500,000 follower, right? Something like that. Yeah, something like that. And I really like what you post because it's really about, it really goes to the foundation again, to nature. And people know my story. I was chronically sick. I tried all the functional medicine stuff, and I took all the supplements. And what I really like about you is that you come down to the basics all the time again,
Well, you say that. And again, I think you're sort of giving me some discredit there and say, the basics. But again, it's actually, you got to read everything to understand what it fundamentally boils down to. Yeah. So basically, it's a bit like a bone broth. You chuck all the ingredients and water in, you boil it down and you concentrate it. And again, what comes out? What actually discover? Is it all about the RCP protocol with Molly Robbins and copper and all these kind of craziness going on? Now, there's a half truth there, yeah. And that we can also take that extreme or that viewpoint with carnivore, vegan, all these sort of paradigms. And what I do is basically boil it down like a bone broth, make it very concentrated and rich, and then that's where I distill the wisdom and then apply that in a personalized manner. And again, I remember 2 years ago speaking with you. I think I actually remember the day we were messaging in our little group chat of these sort of Kruse. I don't even know what the group chat is called again.
It's Quantum Young Guys, right?
Yeah, Quantum Young Guns.
Quantum Guns, okay.
Yeah, and I remember the chat, and you were telling me about like some iron, Molly Robbins stuff, and I was like, no, that's not the issue here. There was a fundamental issue with likelihood of mold. I remember this. And then I think you did do some mold testing, and I think it was raised. Yeah. And then I think we're talking about binders and whatnot. So again, it's just distilling all the noise and bringing it into a sort of integrative model of health. And again, that's actually fundamentally what the cell does in the body, is making sense out of chaos.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Because we could do this interview and it's like, oh yeah, give me those things to do that, and give me those top 10 things. And I actually don't want to do that. I actually want to build it from a different perspective. Like, you kind of living the dream life right now, what every young man kind of wants to live. Like, no, not really. Like, yeah, but it's more like, you know, if you travel around and you kind of, you have an online business and you're kind of free to do whatever, like what kind of process for you was that? Like, was it like you really had to break through some, like, you know, people say that, why are you doing that? What are your parents saying to you? And like, was it really easy to build up this kind of, your business to that point?
Yeah, so I think that's a very wonderful compliment you just gave me. And again, that touches like a big part of my integrity and values. So creating a lifestyle that I don't need a vacation away from, basically. So my life is a bloody holiday. People don't really understand it. Like what I do day in, day out, reading, working with people on Zoom, and I love it. I could do it all night and day, basically. And a dream, yeah, sure. I'm now in a position where I don't need to stress about certain things. But again, it comes from my history of like how I came here to allow me to do this freedom. Because again, it's all about time at the end of the day. It's like the most expensive commodity there is. And how do you gain time? How do I gain time to the ability to study and to become a nutritional therapist whilst working a part-time job, which is compromising my health? So again, it's about making sacrifices and understanding there's sacrifices in the short term to provide dividends or investment, future potential in the medium long term. So again, of course, I hated reading. I hated studying when I was a teen, in my 20s. I didn't even read a book till like maybe 6 years ago, to a certain degree. And now I'm like knocking out a book every other week. Not like that's something to be celebratory about, because it's about actually understanding what the book is trying to say and complement my brain. But again, it's about just self-discovery at the end of the day, and always being open and being stimulated by friends, by people around you, not to be very like black and white, good or bad. For example, this lady in this cafe where I'm right now, she gave me like maybe the wrong coffee. Like I could lose my shit at that, or I could just be like, okay, like cool. She got mixed up, and I just take it for what it is and go with the flow. And that's very much in like how life fundamentally works. There's various choices, and you obviously have to make a choice to go somewhere, and they all have downstream effects. And like we can think about like our food choices or our light exposure, being around Wi-Fi. There's a choice at the end of the day, and there's a sacrifice. I'm in Wi-Fi right now. Yeah. I'm going to take a hit. I'm sacrificing my health for this conversation, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, and I'm okay with that, because I know fundamentally, like this morning, I was out at 6:30 till 8 o'clock reading. I was literally on all fours, literally stretching my hip flexors and opening up my hips. So I know like I've got some potential energy and information in my body to handle this assault with Wi-Fi. So again, that's coming from the wisdom and education that I know that I can handle this. This is not really going to touch me to a certain degree. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to stress my body about it, because I know fundamentally my health is amazing.
So in the end, I mean, you just touched a really nice topic about like making a choice. Would you say, like from your experience, that, you know, living a like healthy lifestyle in a way that your circadian rhythm, your light environment, all this stuff, like makes you also to make better decisions, or like make better choices during the day? Of course,
100%,
right?
100%. Like again, like it comes down to many neurotransmitters, not just the one that we probably think of, the biggest one, the dopamine effect, but many of them. There's glutamate, there's GABA, there's obviously adenosine, which is also a neurotransmitter of the way we produce energy. And again, this is kind of interesting to see like the energy in, energy out model sort of like fall on its knees, basically. which is like, if we don't produce energy, we don't fundamentally sleep. We don't have this big sleep pressure. So those two sort of systems of sleep and energy work bidirectionally on adenosine, which is a neurotransmitter. But we also have serotonin, we have dopamine, which we just discussed a second ago. And again, that allows you to have more critical thinking capacity. So be able to see the bigger picture. But again, if we're operating in this like sort of single focus, good, bad narrative, oh, it's all about carnival and let's just go with the rest of the sheep following Paul Saladino around and like listen to everything that he regurgitates. Again, like we are, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes, is basically basically giving up your ability to think, and you're following somebody else without questioning it, without their logic, without understanding their true intentions. And you're placing all your bets in them. And again, like their theories or hypothesis or paradigms are on shaky ground. They fundamentally are talking half truths, meaning some of the stuff they say is like kind of correct and true and has solid ground on. But how does that apply to you in a personalized manner? It literally is just shaky. And again, they're good people. They probably do have some good intentions about them, but when you mix the two of like that with social media, ego, all these kind of things, it's very dodgy. And again, it's not just them, it's just a whole scene. You can find that thing in the vegan community, the fitness community, everyone. And again, it all comes back to your thinking. Who's not right or wrong, but okay, what do I take from this experience? What do I take from the wisdom, or even what I'm saying right now? How does this make sense in your reality?
When did you know that you wanted to do it like that you work like that, and that you travel around? Because I know from my perspective in the past, I've always been like, when it was about like, I want to travel around and like work from online, you know, it's a big difference if you kind of make the choice to actually do that from a healthy perspective, or if you say like, oh, what the fuck, I lived in a moldy house, and you just try to, you know, to go somewhere and you're like in this fight and flight mode, right?
Yeah. So how did I know to pick up and go and to be like a gypsy or a nomad? Yeah. I mean, it was actually in lockdown. I think it was like after the first lockdown, and I was actually here in Norfolk in the UK, in the countryside. And basically a girl came out, or my ex-girlfriend came out, and she was from America, and she basically stimulated me. I had this idea of like, yeah, living by the sea, by the beach, in this high quantum yield environment, all these kind of things of Mexico and the cenotes and all that kind of stuff. And basically she's just stimulated me to jump, to take the leap in faith that, yeah, this is possible. I don't need to pay ridiculous amounts of money for a epoxy clinic room in Harley Street in London. I don't
you
need
had
to do
that, right?
now.
Or...
Yeah, I mean, I still have that address now.
Okay.
Again, like if I'm in London, sure, I can do a consult there, but it doesn't mean crap. Yeah, that's the old way of thinking. That's a centralized version that you need an address. You need to be official, but you don't need to do that now. Like you can be decentralized, work anywhere, have this conversation where I am right now. And even where I'm living, there's actually no reception there. I can't even make a phone call there, which is cool. But again, it's like I can work anywhere now in the world and make a decent business and help people from it as well.
Yeah, interesting.
So back to the question, it was a leap of faith. It was my confidence in me making this work as well. Yeah. It was, trusting my ability and letting go and just allowing things to happen. Because I know if at the end of the day, I'm good at what I do, I know my shit basically. And again, like I only started out as a nutritional therapist doing what I'm doing only a year and a half ago, basically, with clients. So the social media stuff was before that. We're actually qualifying, being certified and setting up my business, working one-on-one with clients was only a process a year and a half ago. So I'm still kind of new in this. Like Elliot is probably a year and a half forward or above me, basically. And again, he's more gone to the supplemental route of having a company, which is kind of cool. And his supplements are amazing, by the way. But again, that doesn't really interest me. For me, it's a bit of a cop-out to a certain degree. For me, it's about, okay, all the shit that I know, and he probably knows as well, that actually guiding people on a one-on-one basis to improve their health, not with just like a pill and correcting a few issues.
I mean, I'm kind of on the same way right now because I have my practice, and we have the company Lichtblock, so also for blue blocking glasses in Germany, because they have been the big two kind of in the world, but it was really hard to get it to Germany, and otherwise Germany only has Prisma, and that was like, okay, it doesn't really fit. And there was also my choice, okay, I need to work on something where I'm a little bit, I can also be decentralized, and but now it's again the mindset question of like, okay, you have all this physical stuff here. It's like, what can I do now, like to make a step forward to change something? And if you're in an environment where you have your family and everyone is saying, oh yeah, why are you not keeping like this? Why are you not happy like this? And like you listen to a lot of other people instead of like really trusting in yourself and like, hey, what is your heart telling you? What do you actually want? What are your values? What are my values? And I'm hearing from you, your values are like reading, teaching people, working with them together. And I think then everything starts to flow as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. I would say like your family, in my perspective, they could bring you down.
Yeah.
Again, like years and years of conditioning, even in the womb, even before that, even in your grandmother, you're actually alive right there. And again, that's years of conditioning with their limiting beliefs or their abundance mindset as well. So again, it's like you have to break the cycle of society, of family, of everything, and just like find out what the hell you want to do. And again, live life on your terms. And for me, that's about freedom. So again, in that lockdown period, I was like, screw this shit. Like, I'm not going to be traveling in any place that requires me to have that sort of stamp of vaccination or anything like that. I'm gonna go where I please, and no one's going to tell me shit. And again, I think all humans should have that sort of right to a certain degree. And obviously there's obviously things where your upbringing, where you are, which play a role in that, with your ability to have freedom. But I do think there's a right for you to do what you want to be doing and to discover that on the way.
Do you think that, I mean, you're having some principles for yourself as well, right? Do you think like when you kind of live more grounded and more in nature and you really have the, stuff down, that principles come automatically? Or is it something you said for yourself, like, wow, I need to ground myself. I need to train, I like,
yeah. I mean,
like,
so I think the word would be coherence.
Yeah.
And the more coherent you are in your heart, your brain, and again, like the earth is the most magnetic dense thing on this, in this universe, essentially. We need to be connected to that in order for our biological systems to be working correctly. Yeah. And again, the next biggest magnetic tissue organ in our body is the heart. And then the heart-brain sort of connection, would it be influencing our decisions? And everything has to be flowing like a wave, like the ocean or a river, that ripple effect, solitons, for us to be able to decipher information and energy fundamentally. And again, information, energy, that's how our organism basically runs and operates. It's not just purely on a chemical basis of ATP, or ions even. It's all about this information, energy sort of theory. Yeah. And again, when we have more coherence and that wave is smooth and flowing, the animal flow state and all that kind of stuff, the body expresses itself. You can pick up how you're truly feeling, pains, niggles, muscle tension, what your body needs and craves. And again, that's the intuition that people talk about. But however, like when you're talking about intuition, if you're in a concrete jungle with EMF, blue light around, your intuition is going to be directly manipulated. So again, there's that context with even talking about intuition. I eat intuitively. well, you only eat intuitively based on your environment. If your environment sucks, it's going to be cakes and Pop-Tarts and, I don't know, pseudo meat. But if you're really intuitively living if you're living like a human is supposed to be designed and evolved, your intuition will be guided you towards like fish, meat, eating a bit more lower carb within reason, craving sunlight, craving heat, craving darkness, even craving cold as well.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that my body's like phenomenal, and I crave cold. And again, that's probably from my genetics to a certain degree, being from Europe. But again, I crave cold. And when I'm in Mexico sunlight, I did notice sometimes, it's just a bit too intense for the most part. And again, I can handle a lot of light and heat. But again, there's a bit of an innate craving for some cold therapy. Otherwise, I'm just going to blow out.
I think it's interesting how when you are in the right environment, how things automatically get in tune, you know. Right now, like in chiropractic, for example, we have like this triangle of health, you know, it's like emotional, physical, and chemical toxical, you know. And in the past, like, I've been really focused on chemical toxical and the physical stuff, you know, and during the last couple of months, you know, the whole mindset and emotional part was coming up, you know, and I realized like by being in the right environment, it's also way easier to access those deeper, you know, belief systems. Now, when I'm in a really stressful environment and like full with EMFs and bad food, I have really hard times to get to that place or to work on that because I'm so distracted with myself, you know, other things coming up. And I only realized that actually now. And then I think nature has also ways to, because you know, a lot of people right now, everyone is talking about vagus nerve, nervous system, breathing, you know, what you can do. But like, are there natural ways how nature kind of can process traumas and like improve your mindset? Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say trauma is basically a stored experience in our tissues, within our water, enclosed within our DNA or even proteins, and sort of like trapped. And again, like, for me personally speaking, I don't really go there. I don't feel the need to meditate. I don't feel the need to mind dump and to journal. Again, I can see why people can do it, but again, if my body is operating at like the top percentile, I don't feel the need. I don't think there is a need to meditate to a certain degree. I do think there's other things or lifestyle practices like saying grace before eating, or just like feeling the energy in the food and then putting your mind and the experience, like, so basically it would be like role play, rehearsal. And again, that is basically about probability, prediction models, p-values, essentially coming back down to the science jargon of improving how this food is going to be influencing my biology and already putting this out there in a sort of quantum world of things happening. And again, it all comes back fundamentally to how is this energy flowing? How is this information processing? And the better that is, the less like stuff you need to worry about your vagus nerve. You don't need to test your HRV. I don't need to look at an aura-ing every night. I know I'm dialed in. I know the things that are going to be my blind spot and going to be compromising that. But again, there is a point where these things can be helpful in the initiation processes, in that sort of turbulence of getting back to optimal. And then it's a bit like riding your bicycle with stabilizers, or your parents helping you first, then going on stabilizers, then slowly going off them, falling off, and then getting back on, etc., etc. So I forgot even what the question was.
No, it doesn't matter. But if you have clients, for example, can you still hear me? Oh, you just gone.
But like,
oh, you were just gone.
Sorry.
You said you didn't know what the question was, you know. But in the end, I actually want to ask, like, if you have clients, you know, and they are sabotaging themselves, you know, how do you deal with that, you know, with that barrier?
Sabotage with food?
With everything in their lifestyle choices, you know, if they still, you know, drink 10 cups of coffee a day and they cannot really get rid of it, and they even pay you a lot of money to help them, but they still, you know.
Yeah, great question. So again, like, where is that coming from? What are they scared of? So fear And again, fear is laced with anxiety, inability to deal with the situation that presents, to make a choice fundamentally. And that's what anxiety is, or overthinking, because they can't make a choice, essentially. So it comes down to fear in that. So again, finding what their fear is. What are they scared of? Okay, remove that. What's going to happen? Maybe there'd be silence. Maybe some people just can't have their music on. Maybe people can't be by themselves. And again, it's very strange. Like, again, I'll relate it back to me. It's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. When it's dark, it's literally dark. There's nobody around. Like, I can hear like the smallest things. And again, for somebody else, that would be extremely anxiety inducing. But for me, it's like so tranquil and liberating that nobody's around me. And I'm just like, I can hear the river stream down the road, which is like 200 meters away. But again, it's just like, it's like, where's this coming from? How are we safely gonna get you to a place of slowly letting go and to experience the sensation of the unknown and what's next, and to deal with it then. But again, it's about a synergy effect of, okay, so like I said, it's like in the energy and information, there's nutritional processes there, there's light information there, there's sleep, there's regeneration, there's free radicals, all these kind of things. And to get them all flowing in the right direction at the same time. And again, if we just focus on the biochemical side of things, with flooding your body, let's use Elliott's B1 as an example, that might be too much of a stimulus now. Now you're actually flooding potentially glucose more into this in the mitochondria. Now you're actually giving someone a bit more GABA. Now you're maybe producing more acetylcholine as a result of this B1. What's going to be happening to the downstream effects of that? Is that person ready to handle that upregulation in their metabolism? Likely not. And again, like we know, like B1 has influences with detoxification processes with phase 1. So again, now we're actually now presenting more mold, mycotoxins, other heavy metals into the liver and the digestive tract. Like, are we in a place of good redox to be able to detoxify that? So again, all these things are going to the right processes, but again, it's also working at the brain with trauma, making choices, critical thinking as well. But again, as soon as we sort of correct the circadian rhythm and the light as the biggest flux, as the biggest influence on this, with the expressions in the genome as an example, or the RNA and proteins, then we're halfway there. Okay. But again, it does take time. And again, like, time is that biggest factor, which no one discusses or thinks about, because everything is instantaneously now. We want some food, we order it, it comes. We want to send an email, bang, we send it. We want a coffee, we get it straight away. There's no time, there's no patience. And the body, again, is like, the human body is like, I don't know, 300, I don't know, approximation of 100 to 300,000 years of evolution. And yet we're trying to rush. And like, just look at the food industry, how much we changed in a short period of time of 150 years. It's crazy. And again, like, even the EMF in the space of 15 years is massive compared to food. So it's just like, there's big jumps in the generations of information and energy on top of our sort of primordial state. And again, it's very taxing for the body with all these inputs. So no wonder people are there, like, can't sleep, depressed, anxious, schizophrenia, ADHD, like, it's prevalent.
You can go really deep right now. I don't know if but can you, what like, let's say you in 10 years, can you imagine having a family with children in this world?
I mean, it kind of shits me. Like, it makes me scared. And that actually has come up to my brain. Like, do I really want to bring up a child in this time? And I don't have a craving for a kid at the moment. I mean, I'm not in a relationship at the moment either. So see, that's a bit tricky to start with. But like, I wouldn't be scared right now potentially it wouldn't stop me if I really found the person and thought I could really be a father and give a child the best life or potential it deserves. But again, the next generation, definitely. I think it's going to be very, very scary. It's scary where we're going when you think about food system alone and the conflicts of science and bending of the truth. And again, like, oh my God, like even yesterday, I went to this train station in like where I am, and I was just like observing, and I'm not making judgments of people. I don't know their history. And I'm just like looking around and I'm thinking like, fucking hell, we're fucked. Like seriously, there's like 2 crackheads going into the toilet in this train station. There's like 90% of the people are obese. Like all of them are likely to be hyperthyroid or subclinical hyperthyroid. Like it's just like, it's like we are heading for, I don't know, that we're obviously not heading for an extinction. I don't think people are just going to die suddenly, like the images of those cows in America 2 weeks ago. But like, there's going to be a biological toll in like this generation or this coming generation, the next generation. But again, we're going to be like zombies basically, and you can see it coming. And again, this is what sort of Dr. Jack Cruz was predicting. We're just going to be like sheep and so dumb and dumbed down that we can't really think like this. And those that think like this are going to be the scapegoats of like, okay, you're just like pseudo. Where's that evidence for that? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Where's your randomized control trial for this? And again, like, everything I said here is actually like common sense, essentially.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's the same question I asked myself. Like, is it actually a couple, like, let's say 2 years ago, when I was really in the fight and flight mode of like, I know EMF everywhere. I know, fuck, what am I doing here? I even went with Nathan to Mexico for 5 weeks, and but I also realized, okay, I cannot just stay at the beach all year long, because I still have a job here, and of course I can make the right choices, to move more and more in that direction. But I also, like, I just don't want to be on the like, fuck, I have to leave my place because everything is going mad, no, I can, even in that place, I can make good choices and also help my family in some way, still looking at myself, not just focusing on other people. I think it's also really important. And in that way, Jack Cruz is, I think, in the past, I've been always really like, okay, you're super egoistic when you're just talking about yourself all the time, but in some way there's a healthy way of like looking at yourself as well, because otherwise you cannot help other people, if your own health is totally messed up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you really got to look after yourself first and be selfish. But again, there's like, okay, you got to be kind, you got to give love. But like, if you don't love yourself, like what's the point? Yeah, you're compromising your life basically, and like your one opportunity on this planet, which is what I believe. So again, I do think there's we do have like quote unquote selfish genes. And again, the society, the culture is influencing our sort of primordial condition of, I mean, if there's a steak and that's the only piece of steak that I'm going to see for a year, and it's between you and me, well, I'm going to kill the shit out of you and beat you up so I can have that piece of steak. And I don't give a crap because I want it all for me. I don't want to die. Yeah. That's how we basically evolved. Yeah, if you say that, you're saying, oh my God, you're crazy. You can't do that. It's about peace and love. Like, screw that shit. That's not how we've survived and adapted. It's like everyone for themselves to a certain degree, until we can build up our resources, until we can have stability. And again, that stability comes back down to how our biology works, basically. Then we can start think about sharing to a certain degree. But there's always going to be a role in terms of like the alpha or the like masculine, feminine sort of changes, because again, we do operate differently.
Yeah. Do you think because I see a lot of influencers now also from our field, actually, from talking about environment and sun is important, that we are like the AirPods, like smart, like how do you say, like earphones, smart earphones, Wi-Fi earphones. And is there some line for you where you say, okay, I'm not crossing that line? Because I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, just for a workout, I wear those, you know, and I mean, you're wearing normal headphones right now. Is there like something you said for yourself, like, okay, I will never do that for myself?
Well, this is a great question. I don't place any rules on my body.
Yeah.
I have standards, which are like codes of ethics. Okay. And I don't write them out. I don't put them in my iPhone notes. I don't say like Ryan does this or Ryan does that. Literally, they're just like here. They're my code of ethics. They're in my heart, probably.
Yeah.
And that's how I function. And I'm very like my integrity. Well, I try to do my best. Integrity values are very, very strong. But again, like, of course, I won't wear AirPods. Of course, I won't microwave my food in the oven. But again, I don't need to tell myself that Ryan doesn't. It's just like it's a code that I have with myself. It's the way I. And again, maybe you're talking to someone who's been in this for like 10 years, finding or looking into optimal health. So again, these things don't really mean much to me because it's just a way of living. Fundamentally, it's built into my DNA. It's second nature.
It has not always been like that for you, right? Like over the time it developed like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, again, this comes down to like personality, obviously neurotransmitters, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I'm all or nothing. If I'm in it, I'm in it. My word is very important to me.
Yeah. And it's really important in our today's world, like the word itself from a man, you know, to say like, I'm going to do that, I'm going to not do that, you know. And I think it's more, it's what you said, like with the whole EMF and stuff, and people are getting, you know, like obese, and they kind of always say something to themselves, then they don't do it, you know, and then they cannot trust themselves anymore. And then you in this cycle where, you know, nothing is, you know, there's nothing anymore, you know, because everything you say doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hypocritical that the people who scare and fear and put a lot of information about the non-native EMFs, well, they're using it as a communication platform. They're on Twitter like multiple times a day. So again, it's just like you use things, don't abuse things. You understand your own personal risks to benefit ratio. So again, understanding this, like for example, someone with poor health doesn't have the capacity to mitigate these effects, as an example. But again, some people just don't even feel anything anyway. So again, like this is probably what I'm referring to with the people at the train station, thinking that I'm in like a movie, basically, zombies around me, because these people are so like purely disconnected to their body with how it should be feeling and their place in society, in an evolutionary society. They're just disconnected, and they're just basically just on their way to basically. Again, I obviously don't know these people and I don't want to judge them, but like they basically are on that wavelength, basically, and it appears they're fairly disconnected to how they should really be feeling and experiencing life and the potential of what's possible out there.
I mean, it's a little bit like social media, you know, there are those people who consume, and I think it's those people who consume in life as well, and those people who create, who use that, you know, to make new things and to be innovative, you know, but it's only a really small percentage, right? Yeah. Do you think like it's no, do you think the whole, because in the end, I think a lot of people in our today's world see themselves as a victim of, or like they don't really have a strong identity. Would you say like through your time of working on yourself, like your identity changed in that way that you see yourself now more as a mitochondriac or more like a human being with true potential, or like do you?
Yeah, exactly. So again, I am responsible for everything that I do. Yeah. I am control for the most part of my choices. And the stuff that I cannot choose or control, I let go of. So, for example, going on a plane, as soon as I step on that plane, I am subjected to mass abuse of my biology and the potential that plane can basically crash. And I've let go of that. I've surrendered. But again, the things that I can control, I am self-responsible for. And I take responsibility for all the decisions I make, potential poor ones and potential amazing ones. And I'm responsible for them, and I've got the ability to reflect and adapt from that.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Let's not make the interview too long.
I don't even know what the time is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But is there, like, for example, like, I mean, maybe you've seen Lichtblock, like we really focused on sleep and on light, you know, and then really bringing good information out there, you know, to really, you know, give the people a really foundational solution. Are there blue blockers and red light? Is it a part of some of your protocols, or is it things you recommend, or yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't write too many articles, but the ones that I have written or contributed to are all about light, being with blue light blocking glasses and red light therapy. I think it's a simple win, a very powerful mitigating tool in our backwards society. Yeah. More so the more proximity you are to populated areas. So the more people you're around, the more you're going to be affected. So again, like in essence, I don't actually use my red light. I don't crave my red light therapy device anymore. Yeah. I rarely use my blue light blocking glasses to a certain degree unless I'm flying, or again, I don't have the control, and then I'll use them. Because again, at the most part, I am going to be in bed early, or I just use candles as an example at night time. And again, sometimes I don't have responsibilities of a family, of like having like a crazy job, work hours. So again, if that was the case, I'd be using the glasses to a certain degree. So again, I think they're just more important. I don't want to put things on pedestals, but I do think they're more important than giving two shits about your food, or if your beef is grass-fed or not grass-fed. That's how I would put it. And again,
you
like
said, it's more important.
Yeah, more important than worrying about if your meat is beef, especially is grass-fed or not. Yeah. And again, I don't even think beef is a superfood or as important as played out to be. I'd actually say eating lamb or venison or any wild game is more important than eating grass-fed beef. Beef is basically a lazy, domesticated animal. But again, it's the poster boy of ancestral health. And again, I think that's a complete fallacy. It's tied to money in the ancestral world as well. Like all these grass-fed farmers, they're making a shit ton. And again, it was interesting. I was hanging out with Diana Rogers, the lady from Sacred Cow, the author of that, and she was at the Health Optimization Summit. And like I was having lunch with her, with my friend Dr. Ed, and a client for the Middle East, and we were just discussing his subjects. And like, yeah, chicken is like the poster boy of like bodybuilding and fitness. It's just like a complete joke. It's a pathetic animal that doesn't even fly. And again, like, yeah, it's weak. Like again, like you could kick it and it'll probably be dead. But again, sure. On the grand scheme of things, if someone's eating like KFC and crap Pizza Hut, sure, chicken's going to be the right direction to go towards. Beef is going to be the right direction to go towards. But again, on an evolutionary A+, if that's where you want to get to, understanding that lamb, boar, these foods are actually greater in nutrient density. But again, the whole point of that, your question was, I think light is more important than giving two shits about grass-fed or this or that in the nutritional space. And again, once you invest in some glasses, you're good. Like, as long as you don't sit on them or lose them, like, you're good. It's done. It's not really a hard thing to do. Yeah. Exactly. And again, like, in comparison to, I don't know how much beef is in Germany, but a kilo of like ribeye would probably be about like £50 here in the UK now, I think, with inflation, all that kind of shit. Maybe it's more in Germany, but like, that's the same price as maybe some blue light blocking glasses now. And again, a kilo of meat in the grand scheme of things is like, okay, you can go without that for a week and like sacrifice that for, I don't know, some sardines and some eggs, and you can make that sort of sacrifice, in my opinion, and it's going to have a much important role in like your decision makings, your regeneration, the way you actually handle future meat consumption as well, because melatonin is very important in that regard. And that's why you are fundamentally wearing these blue light blocking glasses.
So when people, like, one of the things people talk about right now a lot is dehydration, so electrolytes, you know, it's coming up more.
Yeah, it's funny, like, again, like the ions, okay, so they electrify and they complement water. Okay, so if water's missing, the electrolytes, the ions are not going to work. Okay, so focusing just on the electrolytes and drinking more water, it's so. Understanding more about water chemistry, how it's actually made in the body, realizing that there's things called aquaporins, which fundamentally influence the expression of how water actually gets absorbed in and out of the cell. And these are gated ions, basically, and they're controlled by the circadian rhythm, especially in the brain. Yeah. This is like the crux of the thing. It's just like the salt fix. Again, I actually used to believe that more salt, the better. The thing is like, sure, there's some context with people not having enough salt, people over-salting now as well. And I'm studying to become a sports nutritionist, and it's just interesting to know that like elite marathons sweating like a pig basically, and they're still not salt depleted. Yet you think that you need to have like 10 grams of salt a day to function and achieve 1 rep maxes, or like, I don't know, a PB. It's just that crazy. And again, humans can handle various stresses. Salt deprivation is one of them. But again, our biology is set for conservation on the principle. So we should be able to conserve salt, magnesium, all the electrolytes, chloride, in a very unique way. And again, we didn't have salt mines. Like, again, salt is like processed food. It's readily available. It's in everything now. You can buy it in all the supermarkets, like Celtic salt, Himalayan salt. Again, it's a commodity. It's not how it's played out. So again, when we actually understand fundamentally how light, water, magnetism works, we realize that these electrolytes are self-operational. They work themselves out by themselves. And again, there is probably some context with magnesium to trying to get over the hurdle and build momentum. And again, that obviously depends on like, okay, are you actually going to be training? Are you trying to build on muscle? Where's your location around the world? Are you around other people? How much calcium activation is occurring? Are you dealing with gut issues? What kind of food you're eating? All these kind of things. That will give us some context with magnesium. But like, again, like understanding magnesium and ATP, or magnesium ATP, fundamentally this influences like your sodium, potassium, I wouldn't even say pump, but ratios, or separation charge, and or membrane potential would be the right word. So again, like understand that if you have high energy, you keep all these things in, you keep all these things hydrated, and electricity is working better. So again, you have no reason to be like being a madman with minerals and taking sachets of things. And the reality is it's dropping your redox at the end of the day. So salt will actually reduce your redox potential.
I think Jay Cruz was saying that in his redox RX, right?
Yeah.
I was really
so
again,
again,
hey, how can that be like?
Well, the context is it's with water. So when you have salt with water without any other electrolytes, it deflates the positive negative separation. So again, it's not that you can't salt your food, because when you eat your food, it's coming in a bolus of minerals and vitamins, and it's absorption. With water, it's slightly different. And again, there's people like adding salt into their water, which is like kind of mind blowing. But again, it's like on the narrative like Carnivore Aurelius and like all these stupid Petarians and again, I'm actually drinking or I have been drinking like some raw milk, and that's because there's like a raw milk vending machine where I am right now in this cafe. But the thing is like raw milk is not panacea either. Like all these things they're made out and put on a pedestal. Like this is the thing that you need, or okay, it's all about BPAs and this is making us estrogenic, or it doesn't really work like that. Again, understanding the expression, how physiology fundamentally works as energy and information makes sense of all this madness.
So if people, like, because there, for example, there's one electrolyte supplement which is really popular right now. I think especially in the States, it's like, I think it's 1,000 milligrams
LMNT.
of, yeah,
LMNT, yeah. So again, it's just basically these people are likely don't have great brain adrenal function. So retention of water, membrane potential. These people don't make enough energy. And again, this is like, again, Huberman Lab is now sponsored by them. Yeah, Rob Wolf's company. And again, like, again, I'm not doubting that. Yes, salt is very important. We need salt in our diet. Again, but we have to understand performance is different from optimal health. When you're doing CrossFit, when you're sweating like a pig, when you're trying to put on muscle, doesn't actually mean it's optimal health. Like looking like the Liver King is a fallacy. I would even question myself as well. Like I'm kind of hench. I'm kind of like 100 kg. So I'm kind of a bit of a unit. And again, I do question myself, like, what's the goal of having all this muscle on? But again, I don't train like an idiot, or again, I actually don't. I don't even try to build muscle. Yeah. I just get strong, and it just happens because everything is dialed in. And sure, I do eat a decent amount of protein, but I'm relatively low carb. I don't eat. Again, I don't take creatine. I don't do all the madness that everybody else does. It just works by itself. But again, like these people that sprout this information, they're around like blue light all the time. Huberman Lab is just sort of one of the biggest hypocrites out there. Although he does spread some good things, again, he's like talking on his podcast in front of this blue light, blaring at his sort of bald, kind of like a balding head. And you just think like, this guy's aging himself. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then you just like listen to Jack Cruz on Twitter, breaking down everything that he shares and discusses. You think like, okay, it's kind of like mediocre what he's sort of saying. And again, like he's even tied to making money at the end of the day as well. Yeah, sponsored podcast. Again, it's like people got to make money. People got to make money to live, put a roof over their head, to put that grass-fed beef on their plate, all these kind of things. But again, it's understanding, it comes back down to your earlier question, understanding who's actually there to really help you, or who's there sort of telling you a half truth to make money out of you as well. Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean that what they're saying and some of the things that they do recommend, or even like Elliot's supplement, there's a time and place for certain things. Like Elliot's supplements are amazing. Like blue light blocking glasses are amazing. But again, if you're living like a lifestyle, which I just described, where you don't even need glasses, do you even need them? And again, you would probably say you don't need them sometimes. You don't need red light therapy devices. But if you're doing an acute injury and you're around blue light all day, then yeah, sure. It's going to be a big key thing for you.
Are you, when you wake up, are you like happy, hungry, and horny?
So, I mean, I'm hungry. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with life. Yeah. I love what I do. Like I said at the start, yeah. I'm horny. And again, that obviously requires two people to tango. So obviously if I'm by myself, that will naturally sort of decline, but it's always there. Yeah. I think the word would be seeking. Better. Because again, you could be horny, yeah, and like just get off on porn. Yeah. But again, if you want to be seeking your sexual preference, then that would probably be the word. But that happy horny thing is good, but I just probably horny seeking would probably be the word.
There, because also in like, I think it's everywhere in the health influencer world, you know, everyone is talking about fasting, all this stuff. And there are many people who are not hungry in the morning, you know, and it's the same kind of with chronotypes. And I just want to ask you one question to that as well. But is it like, should we be hungry in the morning, or are there certain people who is like, okay, no, it's not normal to actually be hungry?
Yeah, I mean, there's various things here. So the biggest one will be playing on melatonin and melatonin's role on ghrelin. So ghrelin would be a hunger hormone, but it's also influenced on cortisol and collagen. your circadian rhythm, your glucose levels from that cortisol spike as well. Stress, or, okay, I've got work to do, blah, blah, blah. You're obviously not going to think about food. Your routines. Humans are creatures of habit, a bit like dogs, or that Pavlova's dog experiment, ringing the bell. So again, a lot of my clients come to me and like, I'm not hungry. Don't eat till 12 o'clock. I eat the office coffee diet, and basically having coffee till the end of the day, then having a massive meal. And then, again, it takes time to sort of recalibrate that, to get that hunger back. But again, I don't think anyone and everyone should just be like having like 4 steaks or short ribs for breakfast and bone marrow. But again, there should be a tendency of, yeah, I could eat something right now. But again, me, where my health is at, I'd be like, I like to do something, a mild walk. I don't know if I'm near a sauna, or I don't know, maybe if I'm like by the beach, do some surfing or yoga or something, some mild form of activity or reading. Then I'd like to eat, just to get my body flowing. And that actually fundamentally works with collagen. I don't think you should wake up and eat per se. I do think you should wake up. There's a tendency to eat, lightly do something, a walk, I don't know, do some cleaning, whatever it could be, get outside obviously, and then eat something.
And not having no coffee straight away after you wake up.
Yeah, I mean, the more I learn and the more I like go into the depths of coffee, it's very, very interesting. And again, I don't think there's ever going to be an answer. But again, like I was digging some stuff up that I shared on my Twitter, and it massively, or it doesn't massively, it influences melatonin levels, which is kind of interesting. But again, it also influences homocysteine, which most people don't even talk about either.
Does it increase homocysteine, or?
Yeah, so it can increase homocysteine in some people. But again, again, nutritional science is like such a headache to actually pinpoint. And again, it's all basically just hypothesis, and it's like, I don't know, it's like an image of like all lines going to thing, like a big like ball of just madness and connections. But again, for the most part, it's the most abused thing. And again, if you need a coffee to wake up, you got serious problems. And if you're using it as a hack, you got serious problems. Okay, it is powerful. It is sort of like a medicine, so to speak. I think it is very overrated and overplayed because there's a lot of money there. And again, I think some people where we're from, UK and Germany, have no right to even drink coffee.
That's true. Yeah.
And again, there's probably some ancestral thing that we would have drunk that wasn't coffee, such as, I don't know, boiling up some rosemary bushes or something like that, or some shrub somewhere. Yeah. And again, there's probably something there, but it just probably tastes like shit and we just don't bother. And we've just been spoon-fed coffee. And I think maybe 75% of the population don't actually drink real coffee anyway. It's like instant crap with sugar and cream in anyway. Well, not maybe cream, but sugar and just like, I don't know, whatever they give you at Starbucks, syrup and all that crap.
Yeah. I think Jay Cruz had some interesting articles about that. I mean, it's like 2 or 3 years ago when he was actually posting really interesting stuff. I think now it's more into crypto and some other relationship topics.
Yeah, so his coffee stuff is very deep. I don't think actually there's a lot about it, but again, he'd put that down to latitudes and altitudes and your own health, and its modulation on NAD and gut health. So again, like we do know it's a powerful prebiotic. It can influence NAD. But again, where's coffee from? That should answer a lot of these nutritional jargon conflicts. Again, that's common sense guiding us. That's nature guiding us, not Ryan Carter, the nutritionist. But again, do I think if most people in the modern day and like Germany and UK can have it without problem? Sure. But again, if they need it, crave it, there's various health issues there, then there's likely some more digging to do.
Yeah. Other question about chronotypes. Are you really familiar with them?
Yeah, I mean, only lightly. I've forgotten what the guy's name who made the big book about it. It's gone for me.
Because
but,
in Germany, there's some sleep experts now, and they really claim to be the experts. And I think you can even send part of your hair to Berlin in a lab, and then they can tell you, like, yeah, you should go to bed at 1 at night, you know. And from my perspective, and maybe in the past it has been like that we set on the fire and we were like in this trance and whatever, you know. What do you think?
I think it's a little bullshit. I've forgotten what the guy's name is, but he done a book about chronobiology and sleep. Really, it's frustrating because I read it like maybe many years ago. But like, I think there's like a very, very small 0.5% of the population, maybe even 0.1% of the population, who are those night owls, who are up in the fire, being the guards, patrolling. The rest is just environmental, circadian disruption and complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And again, you look for something, you find it.
I mean,
it's called it. Yeah. But you look for something, you look for an abnormality, and you'll find it. It's called the quantum Zeno effect, the observer effect of when you actually take something out of the system and you study it independently, you will find something what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's true. It's, I mean, this is the crazy thing when you kind of distract, like you go back, you turn away from nature and the whole circadian, you know, Zeitgebers kind of, you know, and then you kind of tell people like, okay, you can sleep until 11:30, you know, like kind of lunchtime, you know, then start your day because you are like this beer and you can go to bed at 2 at night. And people take a lot of money for that. It's a practice in Germany, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, functional medicine practitioners take a lot of money for their clients measuring hormones and stool and shit, basically. So
nice. So yeah, I think I have to work in a couple of minutes, so we kind of have to end that now. But
no worries.
Yeah, thank you so much for having this really weird talk. Like it was not really a normal podcast, so it was more like, yeah.
It's just a conversation. I think we'd probably have this conversation if it wasn't even recorded anyway.
That's how it is. You know, at least like, for example, like, you know, Nathan as well. Did you ever meet him in person? No, right?
No, I've only spoke to him online.
Yeah. Like he's a great guy, and he talks like you as well, and I think it's something to do with the cruise guys who kind of come from that perspective. And yeah, is there something else you want to tell like the German followers or like international people?
No, just be your own CEO, and remember, like, life is chaotic, and it's your responsibility to try to make sense out of this chaos. And again, it takes time, but build from a solid foundation. And that's it, really. But again, if you want to find out more about me, you can go to my website, livitae.com, livitae.com. And again, like, I'm a nutritionist. I work with people around the world. If you're interested, you can just find out more on my website. And thank you very much for the opportunity of being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Daniel.